Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me tell you something. When a woman is single for a long time, people start asking questions. Why is she still single? What's wrong with her? Oh, don't act like you ain't heard it before. Some of y'all might even ask it yourself. But let me break this down for you real quick. A woman being single for a long time doesn't mean something's wrong with her. It means she's been doing something right. See, she's been working on herself. She's been building, growing, learning. She ain't just sitting around waiting on some man to come along and complete her. She already complete all by herself. You ever notice how when a man is single for years, people say, oh, he's just focused on his career, he's being selective. But when a woman does it, suddenly, oh, she must be too picky. No, she's not too picky. She just knows her worth. And let me tell you something else. God don't give his daughters leftovers. If she's been waiting a long time, it's because what's meant for her is being prepared. See, when you know what you bring to the table, you don't mind eating alone until the right person comes along who's worthy to sit with you. And if you're one of those women out here who's been single for a long time, let me tell you this. Keep your standards high. Keep working on you, keep praying, keep grinding, and keep being the queen you were made to be, because when the right man shows up, he won't feel like he's doing you a favor. He'll feel blessed to have you. Thank you, and God bless. When a woman is single for a long time, people often assume something must be wrong with her. They start throwing around words like too picky or hard to deal with, but the reality is quite the opposite. Being single for a long time is often a sign that she is doing something right, not wrong. It means she has taken the time to understand herself, develop her strengths, and refuse to settle for less than what she deserves. A woman who remains single for an extended period isn't avoiding relationships because she can't find someone. She's making a conscious decision to wait for what aligns with her values, goals, and personal standards. She has likely experienced situations in the past where she compromised on what she truly wanted, and she's learned from those experiences. She knows what it feels like to give more than she receives, to shrink herself to fit into someone else's expectations, and she refuses to do that again. People sometimes mistake being alone for being lonely, but those two things couldn't be more different. A woman who has embraced her singleness isn't sitting around in despair. She is investing in herself, pursuing her dreams, and living life on her own terms. She is learning new skills, advancing in her career, traveling, engaging in meaningful friendships, and taking care of her mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. She understands that her happiness isn't dependent on being in a relationship, and she refuses to let society pressure her into thinking otherwise. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is that a woman who has been single for a long time must be too difficult or too independent. But let's be real. What does that even mean? Is she difficult because she refuses to tolerate disrespect? Is she independent because she doesn't need someone to validate her existence? The truth is, a strong woman is only intimidating to someone who isn't secure in himself. She knows her worth, and she won't entertain anyone who doesn't recognize it. There's also the idea that if a woman is single for too long, her options will start to run out. People love to throw around timelines. You need to find someone before you hit a certain age. But the right person doesn't operate on society's schedule. The right person comes when the time is right, not when the world tells you it should happen. A woman who remains single isn't racing against the clock. She's allowing life to unfold in the way it's meant to. She's not desperate to fill a role. She's waiting for something real. In a world where people jump from one relationship to another, afraid to be alone, a woman who embraces her singleness stands out. She doesn't get into relationships just for the sake of it. She doesn't entertain meaningless connections just to avoid solitude. She values her peace too much to allow just anyone into her life. She has standards, not unrealistic expectations, but standards based on self-respect and knowing what she deserves. A woman who has been single for a long time is also someone who has spent time healing. She has likely gone through heartbreak, disappointments, and setbacks. But instead of letting those experiences make her bitter, she has used them to grow. She has taken the time to reflect, to understand what went wrong in past relationships, and to make sure she doesn't repeat the same patterns. She knows that healing isn't just about moving on, it's about transforming into a better version of herself. She also understands that a relationship should add to her life, not complete it. Too many people get into relationships because they feel like something is missing within themselves, hoping that another person will fill that void. But a woman who has spent a long time single knows that fulfillment comes from within. She doesn't need a relationship to feel valuable or whole. She already knows her worth. People may question why she's still single, but the answer is simple. She refuses to settle. She's not interested in temporary connections and relationships built on convenience rather than true compatibility. She doesn't believe in lowering her standards just to say she has someone. She would rather wait for the right person than waste time with the wrong one. This kind of woman is strong, resilient, and self-aware. She doesn't need validation from others to know she's on the right path. She trusts her journey knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. She knows that love, when it comes, should be something that enhances her life, not something she has to shrink herself to fit into. She's not just waiting for love, she's preparing for it, making sure that when it does come, she is the best version of herself. A woman who has been single for a long time isn't sitting around waiting for someone to complete her. She's been working on herself. She understands that before she can have a healthy, fulfilling relationship with someone else, she needs to have a strong relationship with herself. She doesn't see her singleness as a period of lack, but as an opportunity to grow, evolve, and step into her full potential. She has learned that true happiness doesn't come from being in a relationship. It comes from within. She doesn't rely on a partner to give her a sense of purpose or direction. Instead, she focuses on her personal goals, ambitions, and passions. She is constantly learning, whether it's through books, courses, experiences, or self-reflection. She pushes herself to grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually because she knows that her happiness is her responsibility. This woman is building her career, chasing her dreams, and making moves that align with her purpose. She isn't putting her life on hold, waiting for someone to come along and change her circumstances. She understands that financial independence is crucial, and she takes pride in creating stability for herself. She works hard, invests in her future, and ensures that she is in a position where she never has to rely on someone else to take care of her. She is also taking care of her emotional well-being. She has done the work to heal from past traumas, heartbreaks, and disappointments. She has taken time to reflect on her past relationships, identifying patterns and behaviors that no longer serve her. She understands that healing isn't just about moving on. It's about transforming into a version of herself that refuses to repeat past mistakes. She prioritizes self-love, setting boundaries, and recognizing red flags before they become bigger issues. Her focus isn't just on material success or external achievements, it's also about inner peace. She values her mental health and makes sure to create an environment that supports her growth. She surrounds herself with people who uplift and inspire her, cutting off toxic relationships that drain her energy. She knows the importance of protecting her peace, whether that means spending time alone, meditating, traveling, or simply saying no to things that don't align with her values. She is also deepening her sense of self-awareness. She takes time to understand who she is, what she wants, and what truly makes her happy. She isn't trying to fit into someone else's mold or live up to society's expectation. She is defining success, love, and fulfillment on her own terms. She doesn't need a relationship to feel validated because she already knows her worth. She doesn't seek love out of desperation, but from a place of wholeness where she can give and receive love in a way that is healthy and fulfilling. She has also cultivated a strong support system. She understands the importance of surrounding herself with like-minded people who encourage her growth. She builds deep, meaningful friendships and values the relationships she has with her family and community. She finds joy in the love that already exists in her life rather than focusing on what she doesn't have. She is fulfilled in her connections and isn't searching for a romantic relationship just to fill a void. She embraces new experiences and challenges herself to step outside of her comfort zone. She travels, explores different cultures, tries new hobbies, and constantly expands her perspective. She isn't waiting for a partner to start living her best life. She is already doing that on her own. She knows that the more she experiences life fully, the more she will attract someone who matches her energy and ambition. She is confident in her individuality. She doesn't feel pressured to conform to societal timelines or expectations. She understands that life isn't about rushing into a relationship just for the sake of it. She sees relationships as partnerships, not as something that defines her. She knows that when the right person comes along, they will complement her life, not complete it. She isn't afraid to wait for someone who aligns with her values because she refuses to compromise on what she truly wants. She has also developed a strong sense of independence. She enjoys her solitude and knows how to be happy on her own. She doesn't need constant validation from a relationship to feel secure. She has built a life that she loves, and she is at peace with where she is. She understands that being single is not a season of emptiness. It's a season of self-discovery, growth, and preparation for something greater. When a man is single for a long time, people applaud him. They say he's focused on his career, building his empire, enjoying his freedom, or just being selective. No one questions his worth. No one assumes he's damaged, and no one pressures him to settle down. But when a woman is single for a long time, suddenly there's a problem. People start whispering, asking if she's too picky, too difficult, or if something is wrong with her. Society has created a double standard where men are seen as wise for waiting, but women are seen as lacking. A man can be single well into his 40s and people will still see him as an eligible bachelor. They'll say he just hasn't found the right one yet, or he's waiting for the perfect match. But let a woman be single past 30 and suddenly there's concern. Why hasn't she settled down? Is she being too difficult? She better hurry up before she runs out of options. It's as if a woman's value is tied to whether or not she's in a relationship, while a man's value is tied to his accomplishments, his career, and his choices. This double standard pressures women to feel like they need to rush into relationships, even if they're not ready. Many women end up settling for less than they deserve because they've been conditioned to believe that being single for too long is a problem. They are told to compromise, lower their standards, and accept whatever comes their way just to avoid the stigma of being alone. Meanwhile, men are encouraged to take their time, explore their options, and only commit when they feel ready. When a woman decides she's not going to settle, that she's going to wait for something real, people start labeling her. They call her too independent, as if being self-sufficient is a bad thing. They say she has high expectations, as if wanting a respectful, loving, and committed partner is unreasonable. They tell her she's intimidating, when in reality, she simply refuses to tolerate what doesn't serve her. The truth is, she's not asking for too much. She's just asking for what she deserves, and the right person won't be scared by that. The idea that women must constantly prove themselves worthy of love while men are automatically seen as desirable no matter what is outdated. Women have just as much right to be selective, to focus on themselves, and to take their time in finding the right person. A woman's worth is not determined by whether she is in a relationship. She is valuable because of who she is, what she brings to the table, and the life she creates for herself. A woman who has been single for a long time isn't someone who is lost or waiting for someone to rescue her. She is someone who has chosen to prioritize her happiness, her growth, and her peace. She knows what she wants, and she refuses to settle just to fit into society's expectations. She understands that love should complement her life, not define it. When people question why a woman is still single, they should be asking why they assume she should be in a relationship to be fulfilled. A woman's life is full of meaning beyond romance. She is building a future for herself, creating joy in her own way, and embracing every moment of her journey. She doesn't need a relationship to complete her because she is already whole. The reality is that if a woman has been single for a long time, it's not because she isn't good enough. It's because she refuses to settle for less than she deserves. She is choosing quality over convenience, peace over chaos, and self-respect over societal pressure. She knows that when love comes, it should be the right kind of love, not just any love for the sake of appearances. The world needs to shift its perspective. If men can be selective, women can too. If men can take their time to build a life before settling down, women should be allowed to do the same. There is no timeline for love, no expiration date on worth, and no reason to settle for anything less than real happiness. A woman who knows her value is never too picky. She is simply waiting for what aligns with her purpose